Today we will be showing you how to replace the chassis assembly for a Quantum M1500 and Sun L25 tape library. These libraries both share the same hardware configuration and menu structure. For these videos, we will be showing the replacement procedure using a Quantum M1500 library. However, the procedure is the same for the other library as well. This replacement procedure will require downtime and should be scheduled with the system administrator. The replacement procedure will apply to both LTO and DLT/SDLT versions of the M1500 and L25. Please note, if you have two chassis with a stack link elevator assembly between them, stop here and open a ticket through the Rocket Plus customer portal. We do not cover the stack link elevator assembly in this video. The first thing you will need to do prior to scheduling downtime is to record all of the settings manually from the faulty chassis so they can be set up on the replacement chassis. These settings include, but are not limited to, network addressing, hardware addressing, etc. If your library is completely dead and will not initialize, you will need to set up the replacement chassis from scratch. The next thing you will need to do is unload all tapes from the magazines in your library. The first way you will try and do this is by opening the doors using the Mags menu on the front panel. Use this option to unlock both magazines. You should be able to open the doors with the buttons next to them and to pull the magazines out of the library. If this fails, you will need to use the manual release. To use the manual release, hit the buttons next to each magazine access door to open the doors. Then, on the left side, use a small screwdriver to hit the manual magazine release while pulling the left side magazine out. When this is done, you can pull the right magazine out as well. Once both magazines are out, empty them of all tapes and then put the magazines back in and close the magazine access doors. Then you are ready to power off the library. To do this, flip the power supply into the off position. Unplug the power cable from the power supply. Then you will need to remove all cables from the rear of the library. This will include all data cables, and you should label them to ensure that they get reinstalled correctly on the replacement chassis. It will also include the Ethernet and fiber cables if you have a fiber bridge or prism module installed. The last thing you will need to do is remove your tape drives from the faulty chassis. To do this, undo the thumb screws holding each drive in place in the library. These are much easier to undo using a screwdriver as they do get rather tight. Once the screws are undone, you can pull each drive straight back and out of the library. Now you are ready to remove the chassis from the rack. Return to the front of the library. If there are screws securing the library in the rack, you will need to remove them. Then you can pull the library chassis straight back and out of the rack and set it onto a cart. If you have a fiber bridge or prism module, you will need to remove these from the library so they can be moved to the replacement. To do this, you will need to undo the thumb screws holding the library card cage into the rear of the library. Once they are undone, you can pull the card cage straight back and out of the library. Then you can undo the screws holding the fiber bridge and/or prism modules in the card cage. Once they are removed, you can remove the cards from the card cage and set them to the side. Please note, you will not be moving the entire card cage from the faulty chassis to the replacement. Doing so may inadvertently cause catastrophic failure with the replacement chassis and void your warranty. Do not reinsert the card cage back into the faulty chassis yet either. Just set it to the side along with the faulty chassis. Then put your replacement chassis on the cart. If you have a fiber bridge or a prism module to install, remove the card cage from the rear of the replacement chassis. Then remove the filler plates from the slot or slots that you need to install the respective cards in. Install the card or cards and ensure they are secure in the card cage before reinstalling the card cage into the replacement chassis. You can now use those filler plates to cover up the empty slots in the faulty chassis card cage before reinstalling it into the faulty chassis. You are now ready to install the replacement chassis. If you purchase the replacement chassis from the Rocket Platform website, it will have foam inside that is securing the picker in place for shipment. You will need to remove the top cover and remove all of the foam and then replace the top cover. You can then slide the chassis into the rack and secure it. Then you can use the foam you removed and put it inside the faulty chassis to secure that picker inside the chassis and reattach the top cover. Now, on the replacement chassis, you will first need to install all of your tape drives. To do this, take each drive and line it up carefully in the empty drive bay, ensuring that it is flat and level. Push the drive in slowly until you feel it begin to make contact with the backplane. Then push firmly to seat the drive completely and tighten the thumb screws to secure the drives in the library. Once all drives are securely in the library, you will need to install all of the cables going to the rear of the library and the drives. This includes all data cables, Ethernet, fiber, and then finally power. Once all cables are installed, flip the power supply into the on position. Return to the front of the library. You will now need to set up the chassis using the settings obtained from the faulty chassis prior to the replacement. Then you can reboot the library and ensure all settings take effect. Now the administrator may need to rescan their hardware and/or reconfigure their backup software for the replacement chassis. Any questions in regards to backup software should be directed to their software support or manufacturer. If you are having any issues with your replacement chassis, please contact us directly. If your machine is subscribed to Rocket Plus, please open a ticket through your Rocket Plus customer portal. If not, we may still be able to help you. Please contact us at support@therocketplatform.com and we will respond as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching. This has been another video by the Top 10 USA Video Production Team. We look forward to sharing more content with you going forward, so please check out our YouTube channel and please subscribe so that you get notified whenever we release a new piece of content.